Hi everybody, this is Jeremy Siskind. You might know me as the author of the books like Playing Solo Jazz Piano and Jazz Piano Fundamentals series over here. Today I want to show you one of my favorite tricks for creating a really virtuosic sounding introduction in particular, cadenza, ending, and I'm sure you could think of a lot of other creative ways to use this. It's very much inspired by Debussy and the Impressionists. And let me show you a little bit what this is going to sound like by the time we're done. Maybe it'll be something like... and I'll be showing it to you just like I did there using the chords of All the Things You Are. So I love this because it sounds, in my opinion, very impressive and very original, and yet it doesn't really take that much pianistic ability to play. So even if you might think at this point that you can't do this, I can't guarantee that you can, I don't know you, but I bet you've got a good shot. So here's how this works. There's basically, we're going to be playing three elements here. And the first element, the first two elements, at least at the beginning, I'm going to suggest will be the same chord in different octaves. And let's start with an F minor 7, the first chord of All the Things You Are. And so I'm going to play all four notes in the left hand, as well as all four notes in the right hand. So same thing for the time being in the left hand and right hand. This is a little bit unusual. Usually in jazz voicings, we prefer not to double, but for now at least, we are going to double. And now, before we add the third element, what I want you to do is practice, it doesn't have to be in time, but practice arpeggiating up and down. So you're not going to move your hands at all, but you're going to play the lowest note, the second lowest note, the third lowest note, and then up and back down. And my question for you, and try to do it without using the pedal so you can hear whether you're playing evenly, see how fast you can do that and have it come out nice and clean. That's actually kind of a good warm-up, right? You could try it at some different tempos and really listen for cleanliness. All right, it's time to add the third element, which is that while the right hand is playing, the left hand is going to cross over and play another note. You get to choose the note. I'd recommend that you use something from the F Dorian mode. So there I used a G. Watch my left hand one more time. This is the one you want to keep your eye on. As soon as it's done playing, it starts drifting up. When the right hand's done playing, that's when it plays its note. Let's watch it one more time, just going up. And then you can probably guess what's coming next. Then we're going to go from the top of the right hand and descend. So the right hand moves not at all, right? The right hand actually really has the easy part here. And I don't find the left hand's job really that hard either. It has to move. But you've got plenty of time to make that movement. Okay, so try a few different notes here. F, G. See how quickly you can do it. Okay, hopefully you can get some good speed, because your hands don't really have to move, and particularly your right hand doesn't have to move at all. Now let's go to the second chord of All the Things You Are, which is a B flat minor, and let's try this one in inversion. How about, since we were here with the F minor, it's probably easier to see with just one hand, let's go right there. And again, I'm going to double the two hands. And again, the left hand will drift up and play a note. And here we're thinking of that left hand crossover note as the melody note. So don't be afraid to play it a little bit louder than the notes that surround it. And then let's get a little fancy on the E flat 7, that's the next chord. Let's use some altered tones. So here, this is as though I'm playing an E flat 7 with a sharp 5, or flat 13 if you prefer, and a flat 9. So I'm going to double that. That really sounds like Debussy. Debussy loves this kind of half diminished sound. And so this chord is like D flat or C sharp half diminished, but just an inversion. And then how about, let's put the 7th on bottom of this A flat major 7. That's really sparkly like that, right? Okay. So now we've got 4 chords. F minor, B flat minor with F on bottom, this kind of E flat dominant altered with the G on bottom, and then an A flat major 7th chord with G on bottom. Okay, and I made a little ascending melody there, just because that seemed to go nicely. Ah, sorry. So that's how it would work if we do each arpeggio once. We could also try making a longer melody out of those 4 bars by doing each arpeggio twice. Now the difficult thing about this, creating something really interesting here is that the melodic rhythm is really going to have to remain pretty stable, because you don't have too much sway or too much variety that you can add, because you always have to go back and play that arpeggio each time. But watch, and I'll bring up the chart for All the Things You Are here. And I'm going to try to play, make a little melody, a little introduction based on these first 4 measures. I'll do the first 8 measures of All the Things You Are. So. And then maybe you start this tune, just as an example. Now, what are some other interesting things that you can do with this same concept? So first thing, this is all ascending. We could do the same version descending. So instead of the left hand crossing over now, we're going to have the right hand cross over. So now we're playing a bass line or a bass melody, if you want to think about it that way. So you could choose to play the root notes, or you could get more creative. Maybe it's, maybe you're playing it higher. Now, if you want to, then you can go both ways. You can cross over on both sides. So check this out. I'm just coming up with this now, so it might really go badly. Let's see what happens. So. You don't need to be that good of a pianist, really. There's no crossing over, crossing under. Everything's just within a hand position. And then, as you get to an end of the phrase, like let's imagine that you're playing All Things You Are. And, you really don't want to play another melody note. So one thing that you could do is you could continue moving hand over hand, playing arpeggios. So, you don't have to play a melody note each time. You could continue with more kind of flourishes and arpeggios. I should mention, I sometimes like changing one or two notes between the two hands. So sometimes I'll exactly match the hands. Sometimes if I'm in root position here, instead of having the root again, I'll have the ninth. But you can feel free to experiment. Maybe you want the ninth and the 11th. Maybe you want the 13th. Right, that has a much different sound. Or maybe you want to stagger and use an F minor and a G minor triad, or F minor and G minor 7th chord. That sounds very different, right? So you really got a lot of options in terms of creating color. Maybe you want to think about a voicing and then arpeggiate, thinking about that voicing. So I think there's a lot to play around with here, but I wanted to introduce that concept and then, give you guys, put the ball into your court and let you play. So if you enjoyed this, I think you'd particularly enjoy the Playing Solo Jazz Piano book, where we talk about different ways to arrange melodies and chords for the piano. So you can get that at jeremysiskind.com or your local Amazon store. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you comment with your name, within the name of your favorite Debussy piece, preferably in French, if you can spell it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.